Hi guys, so today I thought to share with you my 2021 money management top tips. So I asked a few folks, friends and family this question: what is money to you? Now here's some of the most interesting answers that I had back. Number one, someone said, money is an absolute necessity. Another person said, money is a means to an end. Another said, money is being able to afford what I need. Another person said, money is a means of satisfying my human wants. Another person went on to say, money allows me to have what I want when I want without stressing too much. Now the sixth answer that I found most recurrent was, money is just a tool that allows me to transact. Now the best of the answers for me that I got back was, it's just money. Truth is, it is just money, but it's also very essential. Hence why most of us go out to work for it. Now I'll be sharing some of my money management tips for 2021. Number one, know how much you earn. For those who are employed and self-employed, if you're employed, don't be afraid to look at your pay slips. Some people are paid the wrong amounts. They're paying the wrong amounts in taxes, but they will never know because they don't ever look at their pay slips. Now, if your pay varies every month based on hours worked or overtime, keep tracking your hours to pay. Don't shortchange yourself. Number two, money management tip for 2021. Know what your natural attitude to money is. Are you a natural spender or are you a natural saver? To manage money and not let your money manage you, it requires being honest with yourself about this. If you are a natural spender, you tend to want to go out and spend impulsively. If you're a natural saver, you tend to find several reasons not to spend at all. Number three tip, if 2020 taught us one lesson, it is to save, save, save. For those who are fortunate to have a job, and if you've never done this before, don't be afraid, because the first starting point is actually watching this video, so you are a step in the right direction. There's so many recommendations on how much the right amount is to save, but I think it's a personal decision and it depends on your circumstances. But I'll suggest that you start from somewhere. You'd be surprised. £10 put away every month over 12 months becomes £120, and it is still something. It is easier to take out £10 from one paycheck than it is to take out £120 from one paycheck. This feels more like a lump sum than this does. Now that is the same attitude you take to savings. Start from somewhere. Everything starts to add up gradually. The tiny drops you put aside, they start to add up to a lump sum, to a more significant amount. Now this leads me to my next point, and that is to budget. Now some people believe that having a budget is a waste of time, but I'm of the school of thought that it is actually very useful. There's something powerful about writing things down and doing a bit of planning. Now a budget is just a guide. It can by all means vary, but it's a starting point for planning and just knowing how you'd spend your money. For me, being a natural spender, I find my budget very, very useful because it guides me and keeps me in line and puts checks in place as well. Now let's try and do a really quick budget right now. Everything you earn, you start with your income. Now this is 100%. This is if you earn 2-3 different incomes, put everything down. Now for me, when I do my budget, the first thing I allocate money to is giving. Giving is very important to me. So for me, I'll put 10%. Then the next thing I do is my savings. So this is entirely up to you how much you do, but I'll put a percentage there. 10% if you can afford to save 10%. If you can do more, brilliant. If you can do a bit less, some people it might be 5%. And even if it's just 1% you can start with, it's a starting point. You start from somewhere. Then we move on to your rent or your mortgage. As a rule of thumb, people generally tend to recommend 30 to, okay, maybe if you live in London, we might want to change this to maybe 35%. 35%, 30 to 35. They do say the household expenses shouldn't really cost you anything more than 28 to 30%. I mean, this isn't always the case in real life. Then moving on, your car and transport cost. Several of us have been working from home, so we are having an added benefit. Maybe this could be about 12%, 12 to 15%. Then your bills, so this is all your utilities, your telephone bill, everything, name it. 10 to 15%, well 15% is probably more realistic. Then your disposable income. Disposable income. Now this is where I factor in things like I want to go to the shop and just buy something for myself. I would suggest 10%. I mean, these percentages are by no means set in stone. You have to work out what yours is. Then the last thing I tend to allocate money to is things like gifts, eating out. I allocate about 5%. I don't have any more board space. So that would be about 5%. I mean, this is just an example of how budgeting works. Now, if you have any debt, you might need to vary some of these percentages here because you need to pay back your debt. Remember that. Paying your debt is very important. So it could mean you might need to cut out this 5% here or reduce this to maybe 8% or 7% or something, or work out what your absolute necessities are and the things that you can probably live without for a few months so that you can clear your debt. Whatever your own percentages are, you've got to find what works for you. And of course, the very last tip that I'll be leaving you with is this. 2020 taught us one thing: anything can happen. Now, the last thing is, I would suggest everyone needs to think about multiple streams of income. Some people are very gifted with their hands. Some are very gifted with their brains. Whatever your own gift is, think of how to turn that into a stream of income. Because we've come to realize that any business, any company can easily go under. 2020 showed us even some of the biggest companies, they struggled. So many people were laid off. So if there's one advice I'll leave you with in 2021, start thinking of other means of increasing this income. This drives everything. Far more importantly, all these percentages, they all need to add up to no more than 100%. If it's below 100%, even better. But the moment it's going over 100%, you're spending more than you're earning.